Logan Paul is best known as a YouTube star who has a serious Pokemon card collection. However, you may not know that he's also a martial artist. On the face of it, he may appear to have the clean-cut image of a popular YouTube vlogger, but dig a bit deeper and you'll realise he's actually a fairly skilled martial artist. His entry into combat sports goes back to his childhood and may be responsible for his athletic ability. In fact, it turns out that Logan Paul is deadly serious about combat sports and has even gone on record to say, "I can't not do an MMA fight before I die." On a separate note, even though a lot of people dislike the Paul brothers, who are often seen as annoying, it's also fair to be as neutral as possible when looking at their martial arts skills. Logan Paul is actually a fairly decent wrestler. There's plenty of footage online that shows Logan Paul was a good collegiate wrestler and apparently was fairly good at football too. In his younger days, he enrolled in college for 1 year before dropping out to pursue a YouTube career. He got a place in Ohio University after coming 5th in the OSHAA state championships. His college record was an impressive 32 wins to 2 losses. If you've ever wrestled or fought a wrestler in a grappling environment, then you'll know they're not very easy to handle. Wrestlers typically have a tough mental attitude and will never give up. On a practical level, they're also very good at lifting people up and putting them down. Standing at just shy of 6 feet 2 inches and bulked with muscle, it's fair to say that wrestling Logan Paul would not be an easy task. In an exchange with Paulo Costa, Paul ends up losing, but you can see how good he is. Later on, Costa was positive of Logan Paul's wrestling skills and praised his grappling ability. This comes from a BJJ black belt who has fought for the UFC title. In short, it's fair to say that Logan Paul is a very good wrestler. Whilst he may not be an elite wrestler, he would probably be better than a lot of MMA fighters who focus solely on striking. In terms of boxing, Logan Paul has sparred Paulo Costa and got knocked out. Logan Paul has also boxed fellow YouTuber KSI twice, with the first bout being a draw, then losing the rematch on decision. Nonetheless, KSI's own boxing record is reasonably solid, and going the distance with him proved that Logan Paul could box at least to an extent. He then went on to draw with Floyd Mayweather, which many had down as an exhibition match where Mayweather was apparently not allowed to knock out Paul. Anyway, the point is that whilst Logan Paul may not be a great boxer, he's still reasonable. Due to his money and fame, he was able to dedicate a lot of time to learn boxing and train with some great coaches such as Milton LaCroix. In short, it's something that the average person just could not do for both logistical and financial reasons. The result was that Logan Paul may not be amazing, but that he knows at least the basics and fundamentals of the art. Overall, he has trained boxing sporadically for a number of years, which eventually adds up. Regardless, even he will admit that his main love is wrestling, which remains his strength. Back in 2020, Logan Paul was pictured training with BJJ champion Edwin Najmi. The photo was taken in Najmi's academy, which at the time was not too far from where Paul lived in Los Angeles. As previously mentioned, Paul was genuinely interested in a career in MMA, so training with Najmi makes sense. He was seen training in no-gi, and it looked like he had worked up quite a sweat. Obviously, BJJ blends in well with wrestling and mostly involves grappling on the ground. This is something that Paul would need to work on if he was serious about pursuing MMA or attempting to get into the UFC. It should also be noted that although his BJJ skills looked weak against Paulo Costa, If Paul were to compete at BJJ, he would have to compete in the blue belt division due to his wrestling background. This means that in many ways he's already pretty skilled at grappling and not a complete beginner. So, just how good is Logan Paul at fighting? Ironically, during his combat sports career, most of Logan Paul's money has come from boxing. At one point he said that boxing chose me, which alluded to the financial gain of doing celebrity matches. However, this is arguably Logan Paul's weakest discipline. Overall, you can say he is a very solid wrestler without being world class. His BJJ and boxing still need work, although due to his age, this problem can still be rectified. With this in mind, it would be best to classify Logan Paul's fighting style as grappling. Make no doubt about it, fighting Jake Paul would not be fun. While he may be a YouTube star, he's still incredibly strong and athletic. If you combine this with his explosive wrestling skills alone, then you've got someone who could quite easily defeat most of the adult population when it comes to fighting. Whether Logan Paul continues to pursue martial arts remains to be seen, but at this time it's fair to classify him as a reasonable martial artist.